Hello, folks. Good morning. It might also be afternoon where you're at. We're just going to give it a couple minutes as folks are settling into the Zoom space today, but we're so excited to have you here. Please feel free to say hi in the chat, maybe let us know where you're located, and yeah, we'll be getting started in just a moment. We'll just give it one more minute. It looks like we're a mix of East Coast and West Coast at the moment. Oh wow, lots of snow. I have the opposite problem here in Los Angeles with the fires. But but I'm glad that I feel like snow is, it's always a magical time. Although I feel like the snow always comes like after the holiday season when folks maybe don't want it anymore, which feels on brand since it's the middle of January, so makes sense that it would come now. All right, well, I believe we'll go ahead and get started now. Again, thank you all for coming out this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're located. And today we'll be having a really great discussion with some industry leaders talking about mentorship and its role in career growth. So this will be a really interactive space. You'll be able to ask questions, learn more about our panelists. And we'll be giving you some actionable tips for really leveraging our different mentoring opportunities. And so this webinar today will be focused more on the tech and business side. So the industry leaders are well versed in that field, and we'll be, yeah, having a great discussion today. And so I'll move on to the next slide here. And as we're going along too, feel free to put questions in the chat, and we'll get to those as we move along.
Lindsay, I think, oh, there we go.
Oh, there we
I think we may
go.
have gotten stuck. Okay.
And yeah, just getting a little bit into the agenda for today. So we'll start off with some brief introductions of the team. I'll give a little overview of our NU mentoring network, and then we'll get into our panel discussion, and then we'll have time for Q&A. And so I'll pass it over to my colleague Heather to start off our introductions. And yeah, take it away, Heather.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thanks for getting us started. My name is Heather Piedrahita. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni and Community Relations. So you've probably seen emails from me, whether it had my name or not. It probably came out of this spot. And we're just so glad you all are here and excited to learn more about mentoring in this space specifically. Lindsay, would you like to say hi?
Hi. No, just kidding. Yes, hello. I'm, as you can see, Manager, Alumni, Marketing, Communications, and Events. I'll be advancing the slides hopefully on time today, and happy to be here, learn more, and hear if you all need support.
Lindsay has a very important role as our tech support today. And yeah, I'll give a brief intro myself. So my name is Jasmine Banks, and I'm the Student Engagement Coordinator here at NU. So I work on the student side, helping students find community, and I help support all of our lovely student organizations. And so I did want to take a chance just to give sort of a brief overview of our NU mentoring network. Some folks might be really well versed in it. Some folks might be like, what is that? We have a mentoring network. And so, yeah, we just wanted to let folks know about this resource. And some of our panelists will also be talking a little bit about their experiences on the platform. And so we wanted to give you a brief overview. And so the NU Mentoring Network is open to everyone. You could be a student, alumni, community member. And the great thing about the NU Mentoring Network is that, similar to LinkedIn in the sense that, you're able to make connections with folks. It feels a little bit less scary because you know that everyone on there is affiliated with National University in some sort of way. And so you already have sort of that connecting piece. And on the platform, you can sign up to be a mentor, you can sign up to be a mentee. So depending on, what you are looking to get out of the platform, and it'll match you with different mentors or mentees, and you can message people directly on the platform. It's sort of a one-stop shop in that sense. You can, message people, you can have your appointments directly on there. And so there's just a whole wealth of resources available on the platform. And I believe on the next slide, we have some details about some of the specific resources you'll be able to find. Yeah, so in addition to the mentoring piece, which is a big part of the mentoring network, there is also just a whole host of different opportunities and, leadership and resources that you can take advantage of. And so one of the things we have on there is the Vault, which basically has a whole library of different resources and job guides. So you can really tailor it to your industry as well. Like there's probably a guide on there like best companies to work for in tech or best companies to work for in business, or how to get ready for your interview, different things like that. And there's also community spaces, and so those can also be more tailored. I know we have them for all of our different schools, so you can connect with folks in the tech and business schools, and again, have that more tailored approach to, what you're looking for and, what mentorship you might need. We also have a link out to our Handshake platform, which is the job section, and so you can also take advantage of that resource where you can get connected to employers directly from that platform. There's also a video library that has a lot of great content on there for upskilling. A lot of the courses are similar to what you might see in LinkedIn Learning. And again, this is all, free and totally accessible to all of the folks here. And so that's just a little taste of some of the things you can explore when it comes to the mentoring network. But again, we'll be getting into it a little bit more throughout our panel. But yeah, without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to my colleague Heather to get our panel started.
Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate the intro there for the NU Mentoring Network. In case you have not already created your account on the platform, it is available at no cost for students and alumni. And we'll have some links and easy ways to sign up. Jasmine's putting that in the chat right now. Thank you for that. So we encourage you to sign up. I will say, don't do it yet. We want you to stay here and engage with our panel, but that link will remain available to you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our panel today. We have selected 3 students and alumni who are leaders in the field to just have a conversation with us really about what is happening with mentoring in tech and business, give you some advice and guidance from their own perspective. So I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, and David, we'll start with you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Heather. So I'm currently a cybersecurity professional working with a large financial company in the United States that specializes in mortgage. I'm also a cybersecurity PhD student at National University, specializing in secure cloud computing. I have just about 3 decades now of experience in systems and cloud administration. To put that in perspective, my first job as an intern was migrating Windows 3.1 to Windows 95. So that puts a little age on me, but I've recently transitioned into the field of application and cybersecurity, and mentorship was key in that transition for me.
Fantastic. Thank you. Dr. Sue?
Hi, I'm Dr. Sue Lyman. I earned my PhD in data science here at National University last May, and I've several decades under my belt, a little over 2 decades under my belt, working just in the private sector at Erie Insurance, really since college. So I've just worked at one place, but there's we'll talk later. There can be pros and cons to working at one place your whole career. But either way, I wouldn't have traded it for the world, because I've learned a lot. I've worked with systems. I started in systems, then I moved on to data. So I'm a data and analytics consultant. I work a lot with billing data. And I'll keep it short and sweet, just in the interest of time. So thank you, Heather.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for sharing that. We look forward to hearing more. Trisha, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Trisha McMahon. I have a sort of a unique career path. I have over 22 and a half years in law enforcement leadership, and which is in detentions, but I transitioned over into technology where I work with hardware and software. I also work with networks, and I've worked with security as well. So I have experience a little bit with cybersecurity, and I have received my master's in cybersecurity. So that's my focus right now. I am in a PhD program in cybersecurity. So I'm leaning towards completing my PhD in cybersecurity, and I have been in the mentorship program for a few years now. So I'm looking forward to working with, mentoring throughout. And I am a current president for the WESIS San Diego affiliate for women in cybersecurity.
Awesome. Thank you. And we appreciate all of your time. As you've shown us, you're all quite busy. And so we appreciate you making the time to be here today, and for your time that you've already given as mentors on our platform. Okay, so let's get started. I am going to go through a number of questions, but in the interest of time, I may not give each of you every single question. But as I'm asking the questions that I've prepared for the attendees, if you have any questions you'd like to add, please go ahead and add them in the chat. I will make sure that, we do our best to address those as well. So if there's anything specific that you'd like to ask while you have the attention of our great mentors here, then feel free to add those. So let's start here. What advice would you give to a professional who's interested in mentoring but is unsure where to start? And this could be someone who is maybe interested in securing a mentor for themselves, or is maybe realizing, wow, I've got great experience and I'd like to mentor others. Where would I go for that? Trisha, I'll start with you. You're off mute.
So the advice I would give is just to, meet with the individual, find out what their interests are, and, bring the person in, maybe sit down with them and develop an outline of, their strengths and how they can add value to mentoring that person, and maybe build up a resume or an outline on how they can increase their potential in elevating like their career path or their growth in the area that they want to pursue. So someone might want to elevate their experience maybe in a technology field. So whether it may be increasing their potential in courses, in education, growth, or whatever, I would start there, maybe.
That's a great start. Absolutely. David, anything to add on that one? What would you say to a professional interested in getting started in mentoring?
I think starting at, whatever level you're at, whether that's, you're already maybe in a career, or you're in school, maybe approach that person who is in a position that you want to be in, or, approach your professor and start having those discussions early as to how you can best, either be served as a mentee or serve as a mentor. I think it's important to just start that conversation early.
That's great. And so I'll use that to transition into the next question, and I'm going to throw this into you, Dr. Lyman. How should mentees approach a potential mentor, especially someone in a senior or a high-profile position? What tips would you give for approaching a potential mentor?
I like that question because I was actually in that position a few years ago. I actually approached an SVP, senior vice president at my organization, and he was very accommodating to helping me sort through my career goals. So as a mentee, especially even if it's your first or not first time pursuing a mentorship relationship, I would first start out with thinking, what are your goals out of the experience? And it's okay if you're not sure what your goals are, but you most likely have some questions that are floating in your mind that led you to this place of seeking a mentor. So I would write them down. I would articulate them, because you need some sort of springboard, I found, instead of just popping into somebody's office and say, hey, can you be my mentor? Like, what do you need help with? So it's almost like, like you start with almost approach it like a project, like a problem statement in a way. And it's not like we all have problems and that's why we want to go into mentoring or get mentored, but we do definitely have some questions and some advancement or development that we hope to get some guidance on. So I would start with that, understanding what your goals are from the mentoring relationship experience, and then just thinking about, if you were in their shoes, what kind of strengths does this person have that you're seeking to learn from? And you almost have to, I found it was helpful for me to help initiate the conversation, to say, hey, I know that you've had this experience in X, Y, or Z. Can you tell me more about it? Or I'd like to learn more about how that might apply to my career. And so having those initial conversation starters and just a game plan at the very beginning will I found has made the mentoring relationship more fruitful and productive. And then as far as the person being in a higher profile position, I found that most companies, any person you approach, we're all human beings. We all have the same sort of goals, aspirations, and stuff. So I think it's just, as long as you're transparent and you bring some sense of organization to your conversations with the mentor, that goes a long way, especially with these higher profile leaders who definitely have a packed schedule. If you have certain, goals in mind, that incremental goals that you can set for yourself along the journey, then that helps organize the meetings and the further conversations that you have with that person. So I think it's all about organization and just articulation of what you hope to get out of the mentoring relationship, and then also keeping an open mind for where the conversation takes you, because I found that you sometimes come in with a certain set of questions, or I don't want to say agenda, but some idea of what you would like to talk about, and then very dynamic, and your mentor oftentimes will lead you in a different direction, which is a very good thing. So just being
Yeah.
open-minded that way.
No, that's great advice. I think it's important to know, what are you asking? What are you looking for advice on? How much time are you looking for? And then, be open to where the conversation leads. Trisha, anything you'd add on that in terms of, how you would recommend approaching a potential mentor?
Well, I would just add that, you know, I would have follow-up sessions because I've done that in the past. So I would have takeaways for the mentee. So like little small tasks, I've had my mentee go back and do, and then we would meet as a follow-up, and then just like little checkpoints, just to track progress. And so that sort of helped my mentee, and so we were able to move forward with progress.
Yeah, that's smart. That'll definitely help with tracking those benchmarks that
Yeah.
Dr. Lyman mentioned, and making sure to be honest about your own progress and maybe what else you need from that mentor to move forward in that progress.
Yeah, and that helps both the mentee, in my opinion, that helped both the mentee and the mentor, because it helps in future mentorship. And that's something that both, the mentee and the mentor it helps both parts,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you for that. Let's see. I'm going to give you this one first, David. What are some of the most significant challenges that mentees might face in tech or in business, and how can having a mentor help address that?
Sure, that's a really good question. I think we've always had, so obviously in tech and also in business, there's a lot of egos. And so you have kind of two realms of thought. You have these people who say, on the job training is the way to go. You don't need education. You should get professional certificates and go that path. The other, kind of realm of thought is that, hey, you get education, you kind of move through that, you gain experience that way, and then you transition into kind of this career field. Both paths, I think, are, viable. And I think knowing kind of the path that you're on, and like Dr. Sue had said, knowing your goals and knowing what you want to accomplish is going to be key in trying to overcome that challenge of, which direction do I go? Because I'm getting pulled in so many different directions. Some people are saying you got to do it like this. Other people are saying I got to do it like that. But just trying to know where you want to land, and then finding the people who are going to help you kind of or hold you accountable for getting to that point or that goal that you want to be at. And really not listening or not maybe even subscribing to one or the other realms of thought on that.
That's great. And Sue, Dr. Lyman, what else would you add on that in terms of specifically challenges that you might face in tech and business?
So I will say we all know change is constant, especially in tech. It seems to change on the flip of a dime, just all sorts of aspects of technology and business together. So you might find in the course of your mentoring relationship, whether you're the mentee or mentor, that the landscape has changed. Maybe the skills you thought were useful now has new skills are now useful, and maybe the job market has changed, and you have to be very, I think, nimble, agile, and aware of how the landscape is. And when I say landscape, meaning job market landscape and just overall like industry landscape. So it's helpful to keep apprised of, through like publications and other sort of news outlets, reliable news outlets, is how is the environment changing, and how can I make sure that our mentoring conversations remain current. So I would say just adapting to change, especially external change around us. Prime example, I mean, we all have heard of AI, and so how the blooming field that's become AI. I don't think a lot of people didn't see that coming as far as the avalanche that it has become. So just learning how to leverage that space and what that means for people's development and career paths. So that's just one example of change. So just wanted to mention.
Yeah.
I
No, that's a
agree with that.
fantastic one. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
David.
No, I agree with that. Adaptability and the noise that gets generated. These disruptive technologies come, and it's noise, and you have to know what you need to tune out and what you need to tune into,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your goals.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. And let's pivot the conversation there. In terms of, technology specifically is always changing. Business may be a little slower behind, but is pretty close there with lots of innovation happening. What trends do you see happening right now in tech and business where mentorship might be helpful? Dr. Lyman already touched on AI, which I think is a huge one. What other things are really happening in the field at this point?
I would just add the LLMs, but the LLMs, machine learning, of course. That's huge. People are pivoting a lot, the emerging technologies. So people are just scrambling, trying to keep up with these technologies, and that's okay. We have to do that in order to stay on top of, what's going on. Otherwise, we're going to be left behind, and we're going to have to, play catch up, and then that's going to be difficult. So I think in the future, or in the near future, we're going to see a lot of, training and courses and conferences and, classes that's, going to be held to try to, keep us on top of these emerging technologies. And, that's, it's going to be a good thing for us, but we have to be willing to embrace these emerging technologies.
To support what
Absolutely.
Trisha is saying, I think we're going to see, and what we're already seeing now, is agents of support, right? So throughout our careers now, you're going to see, kind of these agents to, help you out with something, or a pair programmer, or you have all of these platforms now that are all trying to specialize in a certain niche of something that they can deliver as a service to you to help support you in whatever business or role or function you're trying to do. And I think that that's going to become a lot more prevalent, especially with you have like an AI to take my messages for me, or an AI to go to my meeting for me. And it's like, well, now I've got to go and talk to my AI about like what happened. Like, hey, what happened at the meeting? What was said? Like, what decision did you make? What went on? I think we're going to start to see that more and more. But I think that there's always going to be value in that human connection. And I think that that's what appeals to me about mentorship in that way, that you're directly connected with somebody who has already been through this or is going through what you're now going through, and you can leverage them for kind of more of that human support rather than just an agent of support to get an answer quickly. Like so not necessarily long-term support, but very short-term support from those types of agents.
That makes sense. Dr. Lyman, anything to add on this one about current trends?
Yeah, so this might not be so much of a current trend because sometimes, we see history repeats itself or comes through as a different cycle. But I can just comment on what I've seen, like personally in my sphere of influence, if you will say, or my career experience. So we know that going digital is very much, has been very much a thing as far as doing stuff online and paperless X, Y, or Z. So that's not necessarily new, but I find that the push and the like incentives that companies are using to go digital and the technologies needed to support that and promote it has been increasing, especially, not just the company I work at, but just companies all around. So I think going digital will only ramp up, especially as we said, as AI ramps up, then just the motivation to go digital also correspondingly increases. And then I will also just say in terms of, challenges and change, like there's this desire to just to spring off of what David said, like the human touch, right? Like to balance, like how much do we trust, quote unquote, trust these AI agents? And I know we're talking a lot about AI, but it seems to be like pretty much one of the most hot topic of the day, if not among the most. So I find even when I did my dissertation last year, which I did it on machine learning, I found this burgeoning field, which continues to grow only as AI continues to grow, about how do we promote trust and reliability in these AI tools so that we know what we're getting and we're not getting like hallucinations. You've heard about, AI falsified images.
Yep.
I mean, there could be malintent with some of that, but any case, so it's just the trust and explainability of it that also will, I think, increase in the future as far as desiring to know why AI is giving us the information it's giving us. So.
Yeah. No, and you mentioned something related to going digital, and it made me think, with the rise of remote work and connecting virtually like we are right now, right? How do you think mentorship has changed because of that, good or bad? And Dr. Sue, I'll throw it back to you first since you brought it up.
Yeah, actually, I was going to mention the NU Vault portal that I think Jasmine first put in the chat. That was a great help for me to actually get started in mentoring and sort of spreading my wings outside of my own company. And so the good side I see of this remote sort of environment is you can connect to more people more easily. Actually, some mentees actually reached out to me through the search features in the Vault portal platform, and they reached out to me based on my background and sought a mentoring relationship with me. I didn't even go out to them, which I thought it very much promotes a two-way initiation of people who, like you said, either want to be menteed or want to be a mentor. So I think just the accessibility and having more diverse connections is a good thing. The sort of other side of it, though, real quick, if I may say, is I do miss the face-to-face because, this video format is great and it's as close to a face-to-face as we can get, but the in-person is still the richest format, I find, for person-to-person connection, and you just lose some of that, but that's a given because of the remote environment anyway. So I don't know if it would be specific to mentoring. So anyway, that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. David, anything that you would add on that one?
Oh, yeah, I actually love this topic. So I've been fully remote since 2015. So
Wow,
when
okay.
COVID rolled around, it was like I was like, well, get online, guys, let's go, because I've been doing this for 5 years. And but it took me from kind of that sphere that I had at work and those relationships that I had at work and my coworkers and our competition and that daily thing. And it kind of put me in a bubble. And then once I was in that bubble, I started to think, well, okay, how I need some connections. I need that human connection, like Dr. Sue mentioned. And it's like, so where am I going to obtain that? Well, one of the first places was LinkedIn, and finding kind of that network of people, like-minded people who I see in positions that I want to be in or positions that appeal to me, and learning from them opened my mind to every corner of the world. And it brought a lot more diversity than I actually had at in my sphere at work, because I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just thinking about work, or I wasn't just thinking about my colleagues, or I wasn't just thinking about our competition. I was thinking now on a more global scale of like, oh, this person over here in Europe or Eurasia or Southeast Asia is doing the same work that I am. I'm very curious about what they're doing, and
Mm,
being able to find those people through platforms like these is invaluable.
yes, I agree. Trisha, what would you add on that in terms of mentorship and how it's changed with these remote and virtual connections?
Well, I personally like the face-to-face mentoring mentee aspect of it, with regard to like um, conferences or
Mm,
other type of platforms, technology related or otherwise. I think it's a great opportunity to get together, in person, to network and come together. And I think it's great, and it eliminates the social dysfunction that may have occurred with the whole COVID-19 experience. But that happened, and
mm,
hopefully, the remote aspect didn't harm too many people.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good point. I think there's good and bad with it all, and I don't think we're going to lose the value of in-person connection. But we've added now this opportunity to connect remotely as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a couple from the group here. And I know we are already at 11:30, so I understand if you need to hop off. We are recording and we'll be sure to share this out. But let's take a couple more if our panelists don't mind staying on a few more minutes. Um, Hannibal asked, life happens while your mentor is not responsive with you. Should you seek another mentor in the interim? Is there such thing as too many mentors? Trisha, what do you think?
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Oh, that's okay. If your mentor is not responding, should you seek another mentor in the interim? And is there such a thing as too many mentors?
No, I don't believe there's too many mentors. And yes, by all means, you should seek another mentor, because that additional mentor might have a different aspect and could add value to mentorship.
Great. David, what would you add? Do you think you can have too many mentors?
Um, so maybe just from a time perspective, right? You can't meet with so
Mm,
many people all of the time. Um, I think having too many mentors versus having the right types of mentors, and trying to again, like, focus on people who have the experience that and that are going to hold you accountable, right? Like, so an unresponsive mentor isn't going to hold you accountable for any of your goals. So obviously you should try to seek out someone else to help you reach those goals and hold you accountable. So trying to strike that balance, I think, would be a personal preference, based on your ability to, interact with these people or find time to meet with them. And then that cadence of meeting, trying to find that Goldilocks zone, if you will, of, we're going to meet every so often, and these are my goals. This is what I'm trying to accomplish, and this is where I'm going. I need to know where you've been, and I need your experience to help me and support me in that. And so finding the right people, you could have, one mentor, you could have 5 that might be able to guide you in that direction.
That makes sense. Yeah, you may have different mentors for different purposes, for different areas of your experience or different types of growth you're looking for. Are there any red flags in seeking a mentor? Anything that might pop up in a mentor-mentor relationship that would be a reason to walk away?
Does anyone want to take that? I can take that. The responsiveness is definitely kind of a red flag for me. I can't sacrifice my own time to pursue someone who's going to be unresponsive. So if you're getting, and you're not getting the right result, then I think that's definitely an indicator that, hey, you've got to, find someone else and try to find somebody who is going to be supportive in that.
That makes a lot of sense. Trisha, anything that you would add? Anything that might come up that you would be concerned about?
Well, if there were any red flags with a mentee of mine, I would definitely try to find out what's going on. And I would just express to the mentee that if they were not satisfied, then feel free to move on. But definitely, because, if something's happening, as life happens, if something's going on personally, then, it would be okay to move on or step back or step away. And I'd be okay with that. No hard feelings, but, just to be transparent, it would be okay.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Okay, great. Dr. Lyman, we had a question in the chat, but I think it may actually be answered. If you don't mind sharing out your 3 C's, I think that's very applicable here. The question was about, if you're the mentee and you feel like maybe the mentor that you've already asked, it's not a good fit, how would you let them know? But I think if you want to walk us through your 3 C's, I think that may cover sort of making sure it's a good fit and that everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, thank you real quick. I know we're over time. And as far as before I go into my 3 C's, it's purely my own adaptation. I didn't borrow it from any book. As far as letting them know, I would just piggyback on what Trisha just mentioned. There's a way to be tactful and transparent at the same time. So I feel like coming from a place of honesty while being tactful and diplomatic about it is the best way, because clear communication is always the best kind of communication. And again, truth is always the best way forward, and there's a way to be tactful about it. So the 3 C's that I put in the chat here, I was just posing a rhetorical question and answered my rhetorical question myself as a panelist here. So collaboration, curiosity, and competence. So when I was reflecting back on and I have had multiple mentoring relationships as a mentee, having several mentors. The most rewarding ones I've experienced as a mentee have had those 3 C's. So number 1, you feel a sense of a partnership with your mentor. Like it's not just you initiating everything, like your mentor actually also equally provides information that maybe you didn't think of, or just initiate some other different line of thought. So just that two-way collaboration where you feel like you have a true partner in the mentoring experience. Curiosity in that while somebody can be collaborative and help you in your journey, I feel like the great mentors are genuinely curious and interested in you as a person, because that means they really care. They show a genuine care for where you're going in your career, your life in general. So just that curiosity in you as an individual, complemented by the collaboration of working with your mentor and feeling that two-way partnership. And then finally, competence, where and this goes back to what we talked about earlier, making sure your mentor's background has strengths there that you feel could complement what you're looking for. So, and sometimes you'll learn more about that as you progress in your relationship. So it's hard to know that right from the get-go from a single profile of somebody, but just keeping aware of, hey, am I getting, practical skills, practical tips, do I see the competence there? And I'm sure every mentor is competent in some way or another, but it's just a matter of, is that competence the right fit for what you're seeking? So that's all I would say to that. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you. No, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's a great model. I'm going to wrap us up with one final question. So I will force all three of you to answer it. But we appreciate your participation. How do you see mentorship evolving over the next decade in tech and business? If you had a crystal ball and could make any kinds of predictions, what do you think will shift or change in these next 10 years? And don't worry, you're not still in school for this. So if you get it wrong, there's no penalty. David, go.
Sure.
You are still in school, so
Yeah,
I'm going to put you on the
yeah,
spot.
I am still at school. So going back to what I said about kind of those agents for support, I think that that's probably going to be the biggest, short-term gain for people who are looking for that immediate. I need support now. I need to know the answer to this now. I need to get over this challenge. Whereas with a human mentor, you're going to find, just like Dr. Sue had said, you're going to find that connection that is going to help propel you forward long term. And somebody who already has that experience that you need to draw from is still going to be invaluable. I don't think that will be replicated easily with these types of agents of support. So, also on to from that last question, saying no is okay. You can say, hey, I'm not the right fit for you, or you're not the right fit for me. And, seeking out, somebody who is based on those competencies, and kind of surrounding yourself with those people who are going to support you in that journey, where a machine or other technology may fall short.
That's great. Good insight. Trisha, what do you think is next in this next decade?
So it seems to me that, there's always room for growth, and the mentors, it would be great for the mentors to elevate like their, mentor level with, just take it to the next level. Just hitting slightly on what David has mentioned, and take their expertise to the next level and level up, and share that experience with their mentee, whether it is, in the emerging technologies. I feel that there's an opportunity to expand the knowledge and mindset in those fields, and then branch that experience down to the mentees. I feel there's room for growth in that area, and as well as to share that with others.
Great, thank you. Dr. Lyman, what do you think? What's your prediction?
Yeah, thank you. This has been a great conversation, by the way. So I'll keep it short and sweet. So I feel like while I've seen great avenues such as the NU portal here, the Vault portal, and other sorts of mentoring networks you can participate in within a given organization or company, I could see in the future that broadening to cross-organizational, cross-company types of reach, where, let's say, I'm interested in having some informal, like a bite-sized, like I think David alluded to this earlier, like a bite-sized mentoring conversation with somebody from Microsoft. Maybe I'm interested in what's it like working for Microsoft. And while you get some hints of that by connecting with folks on LinkedIn, it's nothing like that one-on-one, like anecdotal conversation you could have with somebody who's actually been there, even if it's like I said, bite-sized, a bite-sized conversation, just a one-off or something. So I could see, and maybe there's a platform out there that exists today, but I haven't yet run into it. So if anybody has heard of a platform like that, let me know. Other than the tried and true, like reach out to somebody on LinkedIn and see if you can connect with somebody there you're interested in terms of learning about more about another company or organization. So I think I would just say the cross-company, cross-organization, intercompany, inter-organization type of networking, especially with mentorship, can be valuable, especially with AI. Maybe AI will make that more easily attainable in the future to help us get more easily connected. So we'll see how that goes, but that's all I would say to that.
Thank you. No, and I think to that point, the thing that unifies all of us on this call is our connection to NU. And so I want to remind you all that, we are all in that same community, whether you're here as a student, an alum, we have some faculty and staff as well. That's our common factor, right? And so the NU Mentoring Network can be a great way to connect with others in other companies, even industries, if maybe you're looking to make a shift. So the link is here on the bottom, and I think Jasmine will probably drop it in the chat as well. If you're not already on the platform, I encourage you to create a profile. It's very quick and easy to do. Dr. Lyman, Trisha, and David are all mentors on the platform. So if you did not get a chance to ask your question yet today, go ahead and request a session with them. And you may be able to connect in another time and ask some further questions. So I want to thank our panelists today for being here and for sharing your expertise. It was great to hear from those working in the industry who really know it best. And then we're going to move forward here and just remind you of some upcoming events. If they're looking for other ways to connect, we do have an Alumni Association meeting tomorrow. We have 2 more sessions that are a part of National Mentoring Month that are specialized for the industry. So if these apply to someone you may know, next week we'll be speaking with those in the education and teaching field. And at the end of the month, we'll be speaking with those in healthcare and nursing. And then we've got some great events coming up. There's a vision boarding event on the 23rd. It's a new year, so think about who's this new you, and tune in for that event. It's great, highly participatory, and gives you a great piece to walk away with. And then we have a chance to network with those in this community. So Navigator networking happens every single month. This month it's on the 27th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And we have an NU speaker series coming up later this month called Becoming an Authentic Leader. I'm especially excited about this one because our speaker is an alum, Dr. Ron Glickman, who is actually the CIO for Trader Joe's. So he's going to be sharing some great insights. And we appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's contact information, alumni on the left, student on the right, but we work very closely together. So if there's anything else we can do to support you here at NU, please let us know. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We did have a great question in the chat, Dr. Lyman. Yes, we will make this recording available. We'll send it out by email. So you'll have the opportunity to view it at a later time or share it with a contact who might be interested in the information.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.